What's up? What's up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another COREofU Friday Convo.
Community of Restoration and Enlightenment. And we are here to just hope that you are in peace in your home, and know that you are always welcome to join us in our community on the COREOF letter U, the COREofU, on IG, Facebook, and Instagram, and our website, thecoreofU.com. So, in light of current events with Russia invading Ukraine, keeping our just
prayers definitely to all those that may be affected,
and being on the brink of World War III, possibly.
Yeah, you see videos and pictures, and you hear stories, and it just breaks your heart that sort of the little people have to pay and suffer for the big people that are having the arguments. Wish that they can just fight their own battles, but it's so unfortunate that this is the world that we live in. So prayers out to the people of Ukraine and Russia all together.
Absolutely. And that being a world conflict, sometimes we in our own micro world have conflict, and we thought it would be a good time to talk about how to de-escalate conflict.
How to de-escalate conflict. Well, we've tried several things when we have conflict in our relationship, and I think I don't think there's no like one
magic silver.
Fix it all. It'd be nice if there was a fix it all, but there's not. I think it's also sometimes based on what the conflict is about too. Sometimes if it's just a little tit for tat, where you're maybe just a small disagreement on, I don't know, just something that's small and minor. It's not too big of a deal. But when you have those moments of conflict where, both of you are kind of heated, sometimes the best way to de-escalate is may just be separated for a little while, as far as maybe,
go to your corner. Heavyweight boxers. If you can foresee, if you have the presence of mind to foresee conflict coming, you can also just put it out there and say, I'm not in the best place to talk about this. The other thing
that's some growth. That's some maturity there to say, okay, I'm feeling some kind of way. This is getting ready to be an argument.
Yeah.
Let's just stop this now before, or let's have a moment or something. That's some real growth if you're able to do that.
Or if you foresee it, then put on your best person. Like, I already know this situation is going to trigger me, so let me go above and beyond to work to not let it trigger me.
Absolutely.
That's sometimes things you have to do in a professional environment. Like, for instance, if you are in a situation where you can't avoid a conversation that's triggering or that is inciting to you, you have to go in already with your best face on. So you sometimes have to do that in your relationship, because there might be a time-sensitive issue that has to be dealt with on the spot. And you already know, okay, this usually triggered me. Let me just go in being quiet. Let me put a cough drop or a candy in my mouth so I won't talk right now and I'll just listen. We have even told people, like, take a piece of paper and write down a point if somebody's talking so you don't interrupt them.
Yeah, because people sometimes, when you get in those moments, you're heated. You want to just get your point across. You're really not listening. You're really not effectively listening to what the other person has to say.
You're just thinking about what you want to respond.
Yeah, you're just thinking, hey, I want a response. As soon as she get done, I'm going to tell her this, or I'm going to tell him this. One time, she was fussing at me, and it wasn't about nothing really major, but she was just fussing. She was just fussing. I just went up to her and hugged her and just kissed her.
Ooh, that was effective.
And just squeezed her and hugged her, and I just said, "I love you."
That was
right in the
effective.
middle. So you couldn't fuss if I'm kissing you. So I don't know. You might have a fighter at home though, so you might not want to get too close because you might have somebody that's ready to knock you in your head. But
that was effective for that moment, and also there are times where we could just be silly, or he'll say, I'm not even listening, right? Or I'll be like, you aren't even responding. He's like, it's too much fussing going on.
Right.
So those kind of if you can get to silly and kind of defuse the other person, it can be very effective because it kind of hits the reset button and then be like, okay, all right, I'm on one, right?
Mm-hmm. But I mean, but you still should make sure that you go back and address the problem, because if you laugh it off and you just walk away, then the next day or the next week or the next month, 6 months later, that same thing comes up. So you still want to address it and make sure you get to the root of what is this, why is this, this is how it made me feel, this is how it made you feel. How can we avoid this kind of conflict? Or is this something that every time this comes up or arises, this is going to be conflict? So then we got to find healthy ways to deal with it then, because sometimes, people get in relationships and sometimes I'm thinking of just some random, I'll tell you one, like, what if you were in a relationship with someone and they had a child, and so you as the new person in the relationship don't really get along with the child's father or mother, the ex, and so that's a thorn in your side. But at some point in time, y'all gonna have to meet, y'all gonna have to deal with one another. You know what I mean? So how are you going to address that with your significant other? How are you going to move forward? Things like that. I think those are things that you should always talk about. There are so many things that when you think, okay, I'm getting ready to be in a relationship with this person, I'm really feeling this person, you should start talking about conflict and how do we handle conflict and how do we de-escalate and how do we navigate, how do we deal immediately, because it's bound to come. Anybody that says that they're in a relationship and they never have conflict, I'm always kind of side-eyeing those kind of people, because that just doesn't make sense.
And let's see what Crystal Rushing said.
I have definitely been challenged this week, and I've had to go in my little room with my Prince music. There it is. So see, everybody has their source of therapy. Get you in some good music, man. Definitely a good song. A good song will calm you and soothe you if you're that kind of person.
Or if that's your happy place, like some people is reading, some people is let me go get in the shower and kind of reset. But I think that the good point that's being brought up is like whatever can kind of get you back to a higher vibration.
And we celebrate the idea that you recognized it. All right, I'm being challenged. Powerful. I need to go to my room and just listen to me some Prince music. You should celebrate that moment when you're able to do that and not get into whatever it is you were going to get into and allow it to just completely take you out mentally and spiritually, because you don't want to give that power over to other people. You don't. Sometimes it's hard, right? I mean, let's be real.
Because even with the children.
Our children.
Let me take a 10 count. Let me literally close my eyes and count to 10, because I don't want to blow up. Your children will take you there. You may have a boss. Maybe, like I said, a significant other. Maybe there's a situation, in a living situation that you're going through that's bringing whatever. I mean, there are a million things that could take you there. We're just talking about finding effective ways to de-escalate, so it doesn't just completely take you out. And as they say, knock you off your rocker. You don't want to be that. You don't want to get knocked off your square, because you may have other things that you need to handle. So what are your ways? What are your ways and your methods of de-escalating conflict? Are you able to see it coming before it gets there? That's growth. That's powerful. And then if it pops up, then you just or you can play my CD. Hey. That's what's up. I mean, whatever it is that you need to do to get to that place. And sometimes you just need to talk about it, and you need to get in, and you need to get in, you need to dig deep, and you need to really just, let's address this. But let's do it in a healthy way. Absolutely.
No low blows. No bringing up a bunch of past.
And if you do go low, acknowledge it. Because sometimes that's half of it. You know what? That wasn't fighting fair.
Yeah.
I wasn't fighting fair. I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Or I came at you wrong. It helps.
What are your ways? What are your methods of de-escalating conflict with me?
Well, I just said a lot of times I have to. Lately, it's been saying when I've been wrong. Or like, okay, acknowledging you got a point. All right, you got a point. Like it's coming out of my ego by hearing and then saying, all right, you're right. Let me think about that. Because that is now, and it may not to you feel like de-escalation, but for me, it's taking me out of a stance and then thinking about what it is that you're actually saying. And although I may not be in full agreement in the moment, I'm at least coming out of my own position. So to me, that de-escalates, because I think all we want to do is be heard and seen in our relationship, not talked over or talked at. And that's another thing. Like, if the other person says, "Oh, you're talking at me," like, I'm not hearing you because you're talking at me. Then, like, all right, let me change my tone.
Yeah.
Like, just even changing my tone. I know for me, I've often been told I don't yell, but I'm condescending in my quietness. And so just trying to monitor that. Like, okay, all right, let me pull it back.
Right.
So for me, I think the biggest de-escalation is self-awareness of the things that I know about me that trigger you.
And those are some things, those trigger words: you never, you always, you know what I mean? Those trigger words sometimes are hurtful. And I know for me, making sure.
You anyway. If you're saying I or you, it's.
Well, yeah, if you're going you, and you ain't saying no I in this situation.
You know what I mean? Or I feel this way, I feel that way, not thinking about how the other person might feel.
Absolutely.
Those are indications that you might be in ego or a position.
And I think
being open.
For men, a lot of times, and just for me personally and knowing my boys and some of the things we talked about, when you go back and hold the mirror up to your fellas, or they hold it up to you, and you're like, man, you was really acting like a little kid on this. You was acting like a little boy on this situation, right? And he'd be like, yeah, maybe I was. Because we get in our ego. You know what I mean? We would get in our ego. And so you said, so sometimes we want to get in our ego and we want to control. And most of the time, and her uncle says this, most disagreements, especially in relationships, come from a foundation of one person wants to control the other person. And when they can't control what the other person is thinking, saying, doing, or feeling, when they can't control it, now it's a problem. Now we got a conflict.
Yeah, a common thing that we kind of get into it about is time, because you like to be on time and I'm not on time.
Right.
And if you sit at the foot of older couples, they'll say, then you just got to start driving separate. Or like when you said, what's one thing I could do to de-escalate? Really try to plan ahead, because that shows consideration for the thing that triggers a disagreement that could have been avoided in the first place.
Yeah.
Or say, look, I'm running late. I know this is going to irritate you. Can you please just give me a pass on this one, because this came up and I was really trying to be on time. Or I just didn't plan good, so I'm going to take it. Can you just not rub it in my face? Like, I know I just did something that's going to irritate you. I think that's like with anything. If you own it up front, it's like, how can somebody be mad because you're already owning it? Like, but if you own it over and over again, obviously now that's like, okay, you ain't really sorry. You keep doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But if you're genuinely trying and the other person knows, like, this is not easy for this person, like, they're probably going to slip up sometimes, but at least I know they're aware and they're not taking for granted that this irritates me. I think that goes a long way.
And then we always say, be as quick to celebrate a person's victories or the things that they do right as you are to point out the wrong things they do. Be just as quick. And have just the same amount of energy, right? I need, what they say, I need that same level of energy. When I do right, I need that same level of energy. Because when you do wrong, oh my God, you did this, you messed up. Then when you do right, oh, you were supposed to. No. Well, that's your responsibility. No, let's give the same energy that you would when a person does wrong. I think that helps too. So when they do right, you celebrate them and you cheer them on and say, hey, I see you. I see what you did there. You were able to overcome that. You were on time, today. Thanks for being on time so we can get here and make this happen. And then, or whatever it is. I think we should always celebrate those moments of victory when we're able to overcome, especially our ego and our pride, and get past ourselves and really be able to see what the other person is saying and thinking and feeling.
And my final tip for the evening would be, because we know communication is primarily nonverbal, to watch, especially for my ladies, watch your nonverbal communication and stay open, because we really say a lot with our eyes, our body language, our tone, and that in and of itself can de-escalate a situation if you just watch your face, just stay open and relax. Because our men, they tried, or our mates, you know, there's male energy, female energy, however it is, but we feed off of one another. So if you're already disapproving, if you're already coming in to the situation with your hard face and your hard tone, it's going to be very difficult for the other person to stay open and feel like they're on fair ground. So it can de-escalate the situation just by watching all your nonverbal communication.
And I'll end by saying this. I was just thinking as you were saying that one of the greatest sort of and weird feelings all at the same time is to pump yourself all up that, oh, we getting ready to have a big argument or a big disagreement about this. And then your significant other doesn't respond the way you thought they were going to respond. Like you really thought that they were going to blow up and they're just like, oh, no big deal. That's no problem. Then you're like, well, wait a minute. I just prepared this whole fight and this whole, because I knew you was going to say this. Oh, she going to say this, so I'm going to say that. Or he going to say this, so I'm going to come back with this. And then they just like, no, it's one of the weirdest feelings ever. But it's also a great feeling, you know. And like, oh, okay, it's a refreshing
Celebrate
feeling.
that.
So you should celebrate that. You should be able to celebrate that with you and celebrate that with your significant other. Absolutely. That you were able to overcome that and come out on top as better versions of yourselves. All right, this is another Friday COREofU Convo. We will see you soon.
Thank you for joining us. We've been a little hit and miss because we got a lot going on in our personal lives.
We got a lot of good stuff, though. A lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff, a lot of change. But we thank y'all for sticking with us. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for pushing us. Thank you for up-leveling us. And we hope we up-level and push you to community of restoration and enlightenment. That's what we all are. Keep joining us and tell other people to join us on Instagram, Facebook, and website, and YouTube, because we wanna push each other to that next round.
All right, y'all. Peace.